Welcome to day one of 21 days of prayer and fasting. We're fasting for spiritual sensitivity and realignment back to God, as Matthew 17:21 says. However, this kind does not go out except by prayer and fasting. The other scriptures that I put there, James 4:7, then reemphasizes this by saying, submit yourself then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Come near to God and he will come near to you. Hebrews 12 verse 1 to 2 then says, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of faith. Isaiah then bolsters all of this in Isaiah 58:9, and he says, then you will call and the Lord will answer. You will cry for help and he will say, here am I. And this brings us to the point that true fasting leads to intimacy with God, which is what we need to return to. When Jesus was talking to the disciples who came in Matthew 17:21 to ask as to why they could not deliver that person who was demon-possessed from demon possession, he said it is because your unbelief. And it is our unbelief that limits God's intervention in any situation. And if we are humble enough, we would be the first to admit that we need to grow in faith. Faith that will move mountains, faith that will see God intervene into situations not only in our families, but in our nation and in our region. And this is the whole reason for the call to fast. It is for us to break off from all the distractions, break off from all the competing alternatives that have for months and years captivated our attention, and we have prioritized them over the study of His Word and the immersion of His presence, one-on-one communion, corporate communion. Because all of these things, whether we do them or not, they bear fruit, both the negative and the positive. And day one, we establish that we are going to return to submitting ourselves to God, as James encourages us. And then when we stand to resist the enemy's onslaughts, the Bible clearly says the devil will flee from us. Nothing will stand in our way because we have been in the presence of God. We must never forget that the presence of God is what makes us powerful. Apart from the presence of God, there is no anointing. And when there is no anointing, there is no breaking of the yoke. We can run on momentum. We can run on past experiences. We can run on the past. But it is no more powerful than what happened to the disciples, because the anointing and the presence is not current. We've got to be current with the Lord at all times. We've got to be intimate with the Lord at all times. And true fasting leads to intimacy with God. True fasting is not just abstinence from food or from Facebook or from anything that takes your time away. True fasting is while we abstain from these things, we replace them with what needed to be there in the first place. And that is communion with God through the digestion of His Word. God bless.